Good morning and welcome to our Tuesday morning class. This is being pre-recorded for your information earlier on Tuesday morning. I would like to dedicate this class to the memory of two members of our congregation, Earl Gordon and Mort Skirball, who died as a result of the coronavirus. We keep them in our memories. We continue with our classes, with our programs, with our services, because we know that's what they would have wanted, to keep Jewish life alive for all of us on Longboat Key. We can only do this virtually right now. It wouldn't be safe to do otherwise, but we do it anyway. I want to begin by announcing one additional thing that I hope to do. That is, on Saturday morning, when we aren't able to have our Saturday morning Shabbat services, I plan to have posted on YouTube and Facebook a Saturday morning Torah discussion. I will be reading part of the weekly Torah reading to you and discussing some of the commentaries and significance of that. That is one more way of keeping in touch with members of our congregation. The other day I shared with you that I discovered a book about Jewish reactions to the Black Death, 1348 to 1350, with a little bit before and a little bit after. A horrendous plague. I want to distinguish the way the plague in the 14th century was understood, the way we understand the plague today, and what we generally understand as the plagues in the Passover Haggadah. Let's start with the Haggadah first. We read the list of plagues. We read the list of plagues, interestingly enough, as they are listed in the Haggadah. They are listed differently in the book of Psalms. And maybe another time, another place, I'll print out something for everyone so you can see the difference. Not earth-shattering difference, but difference nonetheless. We read the list of plagues in a very interesting way. It is our practice to to have a drop of wine spill out of our wine cups by our finger, a spoon, for each one of the plagues, to reduce our celebration, because we recognize that despite everything, the Egyptians suffered. And the Hallel Psalms that are said on happier occasions are reduced on Passover for the same reason. Whatever you think about the plagues that are recounted in the Haggadah, whether you believe they really happened or not is not the issue. Our people through the ages saw these as efforts by God to provoke Pharaoh into letting our people go, and go not just to leave slavery, but to go to Sinai and receive the Torah, a point that needs to be emphasized. There was a purpose behind it. We saw God's hand in history, and whether you like that or not, whether you like that image of God or not, that is the way our ancestors saw it. Now let's move to the Middle Ages. There were many plagues in the Middle Ages, and I limit myself to Europe right now. What was the cause of the plagues? People didn't understand plagues as we think we understand them today. A future generation will say we were all wrong too. More often than not, every time there was a plague, Jews were blamed. Jews poisoned the wells. Jews caused all of this. I want to say just again in parentheses, there are people who are blaming us for what's going on now. They are fringe groups. Let's hope they remain that way. but all the studies show that anti-Jewish activities have increased since this virus has become so prevalent. Now let's jump ahead to the 2020s, where we are right now. Do we understand this plague? No. Can we predict when it will be over? No. That is something we human beings can't do. When Dr. Fauci said the plague will decide, he's personifying the plague, giving it decision-making power, but making clear the contrast that we human beings, no matter how powerful we think we are, can't determine when everything will be over. Our scientific knowledge isn't that well developed. And however we have expanded our scientific knowledge over the centuries, however powerful we feel we are intellectually, how many of us are alive today simply because of some antibiotics that we take for granted, still, there are things that are more powerful than we are. It humbles us as human beings. But we view this plague as a natural occurrence, not a supernatural occurrence. I reject completely all those efforts by whatever religious group anywhere to say this is a punishment for this or for that or for the other, because the entire world is suffering. I have a point I'd like to make about that too. The entire world is suffering. This isn't a matter, you've heard me say this before, of patriotism, of one nation showing its strength against another. Not in the slightest. All peoples, all religions, all groups need to work together. There are people in the world who completely and thoroughly reject the state of Israel and any contribution it has ever made. To boycott, to divest, to sanction, BDS. It is interesting, fascinating, you want to smile. Those people who started that movement say that if Israel can find something that can deal with the coronavirus, it would be okay to accept it. We used to say, not that long ago, when we were more frightened by polio than we were by coronavirus, that it weren't for Dr. Salk or Dr. Sabin, where would we be? Both of them Jews. Let us recognize the contribution of Jews to science and to civilization. And let us continue that tradition that all of us have dedicated ourselves to, increasing knowledge. However imperfect the world is, and it is, however imperfect we as human beings are, we have been given the power, the encouragement to try to improve things. We can't solve all the problems. Let us at least make an effort. So for that reason, I can't be absolutely sure I'm completely safe, but I can reduce my contact with other people. Social distancing is a new phenomenon. Maybe the shaking of the hands, the hugging and all of that will become a thing of the past. We don't know. We don't know how society will respond. I want to change the focus ever so slightly for a moment. In the book that I've been reading about the Jewish response to the Black Death, an interesting story which I'll share with you in more detail on another occasion, about tombstones. Someone discovered some centuries ago tombstones from Spain of individuals who died as a result of that plague. And it said on their tombstones what their cause of death was. It didn't just give the name of the person, the name of the father, the date of the death, so you'd know when to have a yard site, to say this was a wonderful and righteous person and all kinds of stock phrases like that. It made specific reference to that cause of death. Those inscriptions were copied down by a tourist, no less, centuries ago, recopied and studied, and give us another source of information. When we go to cemeteries, and tragically, too many of us need to, we should be able to read what it says on the tombstones. And I once had, in one of my previous congregations, an adult education class on how to read a Jewish tombstone. For there are inscriptions that are found on so many that are the same, in addition to the name and the date of death, and how to begin to decipher all of this. I've also received requests from members of this congregation having nothing to do with what's going on now. Here is a picture of my grandfather's tombstone. Can you tell me what it says? Sometimes the information is surprising. In other words, a name not just of a father but of a grandfather, or where the person was from, giving us information we didn't have before. We commemorate, we mourn the death of those who are no longer with us. We make our effort to be as safe as humanly possible. And at Temple Beth Israel of Longboat Key, along with congregations throughout the country, we are learning new things. If you had told me that I would be doing all of this with the technology that we're using, a few years ago, I would have been amazed. Tragically, in the past week, I attended, in quotation marks, a burial via Zoom. Tragically, I attended a Shiva via Zoom. These are all new and different. We're talking about something positive. For how often there is a Shiva and the relatives who aren't that close or are unable to come in from the other end of the world can't be there. Now virtually they can be there. When this class is over at noon today, all going well, we are going to have a meeting of the rabbis of Sarasota and Manatee counties, again by Zoom. We would like to get together in person. Part of our goal is to support each other through these difficult times and also to exchange ideas and experiences. It would be far more effective to do it in person. However, this too is effective, giving us an opportunity to communicate. The Shiva by Zoom has taken on a new personality. All joking aside, one of the most important things for some people at a Shiva is food. And not just food for the sake of fun, but food to sustain us. We can't do that yet via Zoom, though if I can even think about it, somebody in the future will imagine it and put it into action. We pause right now on this Tuesday morning when under normal circumstances, many of us would gather together in the TBI library and have our Tuesday morning class. Sometimes we'd have a fixed topic. Sometimes we just talk back and forth. I've said if you've got anything you need to talk about, just bring up the issue. And I offer that to all of you right now. I don't want to, because I'm not quite prepared, to have a Zoom class with everybody contributing. The chaos is a little bit frightening right now, but we're still learning. But I make the offer, if any of you just want to talk or share ideas, use my cell phone and call me. If necessary, we can set up a time and a phone appointment. I know that sounds very formal, but we need to be in touch. We have committees in the congregation who are phoning people just to say hello, just to let people know they're not alone in the world at this difficult time, when so many of us are so social and just love to be with other people, or simply love to go out to eat instead of being confined in our own residences. So I hope some of the things I've shared with you this morning have given you some sort of hope. Our people have survived through worse things in the past. This is unprecedented and not unprecedented. Usually in the past, when Jews had to hide and, let's say, couldn't have seders together, or had to be all alone, or couldn't say Kaddish and a minyan, they knew that down the road a little bit, there was a Jewish community that lived a freer life. When Jews were expelled from one community, more often than not, there was another country that would take them in, sometimes with enthusiasm, because they knew Jews had something to offer. This horrendous virus has affected the whole world. And may it teach the whole world that we need to work on this together, not to be in competition, not to say that I'm better than you, but to work together with the goal of putting an end to this. And may that come speedily in our day. Let me remind you that tomorrow, Wednesday, we are going to do via Zoom Yizkor, which would normally be on the seventh day of Passover in our synagogue calendar. We are going to read some Passover prayers that we would normally have on a seventh day of Passover service, and then try through Zoom with the help of our musicians to bring you music and prayers that we would normally have in Yizkor. Friday, we're going to do another Shabbat message, again with music. And we are all making an effort to include more of our musicians, to give them the opportunity to be with you and for you to enjoy what they have to offer. May we continue to develop new programs. I have one more announcement. The book group, the BIW book group, it was supposed to meet yesterday on the 13th. Obviously, it had to be canceled. But why not? And why not's a big expression. Try to have a book group via Zoom. We're working on it. And an e-blast should go out sometime today, giving you the opportunity. We're putting it off for 2 weeks to give you a chance to read the book. And if you can't read the book, that's okay. It's fascinating sometimes to hear a discussion about a book you haven't read. Sometimes it will even encourage you to read it. Sometimes it'll encourage you to say, no way, I'm never reading that. But we're trying to bring as many of our programs to you through this modern technology. And again, it would be wrong of me if I didn't acknowledge all the help and all the support that I have received from more people than I can begin to list. But my producer and director in particular, you know who she is. She's made this possible. I couldn't do it without her. The whole idea of doing it by myself, I think, would be a little bit too much. But then again, necessity is the mother of invention, and may we all learn to do more things and come out of this, those of us who are able to do so, who are blessed with the ability to survive, come out better human beings. Thank you.